party and got to see the win last night out in Colorado. So, all right, everybody. Good morning. All right. Is there a wind of change in the air? Does anybody else feel it a little bit, or at least starting to feel it? Yeah. Talk to me about it. Let's. What are you seeing? What are you feeling in terms of the changes that are taking place?
So I'm going to be curious at the end of June to see the days on market. I don't think so. MLS right now is posting 6 days. It's saying like in the little corner, it says 6 days on market. I think it's gonna go back up to maybe 10 to 11. But that's personal. I don't know what it will actually be. We'll find out in a week. But
Okay.
I have a feeling that a lot of homes are sitting on the market longer.
Okay, I agree. I think they're staying on the market a little bit longer. And what else is happening a lot more?
Investment funds have took a back step. I've noticed there's quite a few of them, including the one that my husband works for, have cut out all buying off for 60 days.
Yep. There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be some market corrections, and these are not bad things, y'all. These are all good things. And a good agent is going to get out in front of it and be able to lead turn it. Okay. So if you're able to do that and you're able to pivot and adjust your marketing strategy and your how you're going about getting your business, that's key. All right. And a big part of that is, since homes are lasting on the market longer, days on the market is a little bit longer. We are starting to see, and I am starting to hear from you, the agents, a lot more about pricing, when to do price adjustments, and how do you go about doing a price adjustment if you need one. Okay, so we're going to talk about this as if it's from a listing perspective. If you've got a listing right now and you're wondering why it's not selling, then this is the lesson for you. But just because you don't have a listing right now, it also doesn't mean that the listing is not for you, because there are some things that you can learn more about what it's like to be as a buyer's agent on a listing that has been on the market for 20 days or longer. So you can tell a lot of things based off of looking at it from two different perspectives. So today we're just going to look at it from the perspective of, I've got a listing, I need to potentially do a price adjustment to keep in touch with the marketplace. But at the same time, you can pay attention to this and glean some from it. If you are a buyer's agent and you're putting an offer in on a home that might fit this profile a little bit too. Okay. Any questions before we get going? Okay. I have one thing I need your help with. Coaching calendar this week is looking really light. A lot of you guys are out of pocket. A lot of you guys are taking vacation time, doing stuff for the 4th with your kids. But I would love to fill up my coaching calendar. I've got lots of opportunities for you this week, next week, all of the above. So if you're ready for a tune-up, you're ready for a conversation, I'm here for you. Okay. And does everybody know how to do that? Corey, you're fairly new, right? So do you know how to get on and reserve a spot on the coaching calendar? Okay, let's talk afterwards. You're muted, but that's all right.
Right. Okay. No, I'm muted. Yes.
Tell you what, I'll reach out to you after we're done here. Okay.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, by the way. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna mute a whole bunch of you guys real quick, just so we can make sure we keep the background noise in check here. All right, and now I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start rolling through, folks. All right, everybody looking at a opening PowerPoint, how to earn a price adjustment for your listing. All right, so let's talk about price adjustments. Okay, a reduction in price is not something that is given by the seller. It has to be earned by you, the listing agent. Okay, It is not it's not an automatic, it's not a simple thing. You're going to have to, you got to keep in mind what the seller's mindset is. When you sat down at that listing appointment and you told them that their home was worth $200,000, they were already spending it. Okay. And now you are going to come back into them and saying, oh no, it's not worth 200,000. It's only worth 180. And they're spending $20,000 less than what they were before. Okay. So it can't be given. It has to be earned. All right. Terminology is also absolutely of critical of critical importance. This is not a price reduction, but rather a price adjustment. I have had to train myself over the years to never use the word reduction. It is an adjustment or it is a correction. Okay, it is a correction to the price. We are doing corrections to our marketing strategy. It is corrections. It is not reductions. All right. It's semantics, but it is critically important. All right. So the thing about price adjustments, it's important to be having this conversation not 3, 4, 5 weeks into the listing, but having that conversation and setting those expectations even well back before you go live on the market. Okay. So the best strategy to do this is to establish some cold, hard criteria. All right. So you'll see throughout this, I've put some things in quotation marks and those are more scripts than anything. So if we have priced the home appropriate to the market conditions, we should be seeing 3 to 5 showings per week consistently. And for every 10 to 15 showings that we are getting, we should be receiving an offer. Okay. Those are absolutely critically important. I talk about them in almost every single listing appointment because it sets the criteria for when we have the conversation about what the next steps are. All right. If we are not meeting these criterion, then this is an indication of the market's positioning of our listing. It could do a number of different things. It could be an indicator of rejecting the price, but it could also be a couple other things. Those other things that it could possibly be would be something like poor photography, a lack of marketing, but those are things that you can say, well, clearly it's not any of these because, hey, I'm awesome. And I'm your listing agent and I don't do poor photography and I don't do halfway marketing. So it clearly it has to be the market is rejecting the price. If we are in a market where days on the market is 10 days and we're at 20 or 30 or 40, then the market is sending us a message and we need to listen to that message. Okay. So here's where you have this conversation and a lot of people are like, well, you set the price too high or you set the price too low. And here's where you have this conversation. What is my role in the home pricing equation? I have to do 2 things for you. I have to do one, my goal is to get you the best possible deal and the most possible money out of your home. The second thing I had to do, and if that was the only thing I had to do, that would be easy. But the second thing I have to do is do so with the highest probability of selling the home quickly and getting to the closing table with as much ease and the least amount of risks as possible. Okay. Now think about it. Doing these 2 things, they are inversely proportionate to each other. If you get somebody the best possible deal on the home, you might do so without regard to risk, and you probably you might find yourself in a position where you don't make it to the closing table. On the other hand, if you do go with the guaranteed deal and make it to the closing table, you may leave money on the table for your client. So those are very important things. All right. So my role in this is to do 2 things that are inversely proportionate to each other. And then the follow on to that conversation is with Mr. or Mrs. Seller, there's a common myth that the real estate agent sets the selling price of your home. And the reality of it is I don't set the selling price. Frankly, neither do you. You may agree to it, but you're not the one that is actually determining what that price is. Ultimately, it is the market that will determine the selling price. And then my job as your agent is to use my skills, experience, the resources that I've been taught to help you predict what price the market is most likely to react to favorably. Okay. So if you have a client that is saying, well, you picked the wrong price, or you went in too high, or you went in too low, that's real easy to have this conversation. And you say, well, you know what? I'm a human being and I want to try to do the best I could possibly do. And my evaluation of this was I was trying to get you a better deal in this process. So now is I'm a human being and I predicted incorrectly, or the market reacted differently than what I thought it was going to react. So it is not a negative that we did the wrong thing or that we went in with the highest price. It's actually a positive. We were trying to do the best that we can, and now we are adjusting to what the market's message is to us. Is that clear? Gives you the ammunition to it kind of gives you permission to make a mistake, if you will. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to do the best thing for your client ultimately. All right. Other keys in the conversation that you can have with the client. Okay, there are three keys to selling a home: location, condition, and price. And this is something that you talk about with your clients in scripts all the time. Three factors that determine how quickly a home sells or how much in demand it is: the location, the condition, and the price. Well, guess what? Location, you can't change it. You can't pick up that house and move it to a different corner somewhere in the same town. Okay. So if you can't change the location, let's move on to the next one: the condition. Condition can be changed, of course, of the property. If you've got a home that's in fairly good shape, you can just discount that away and say, well, your home is awesome, so it can't be the condition. If there is problems with the home, then the condition is something that is difficult and often expensive to change. The price, on the other hand, of all of three of those three factors, the price is probably the easiest thing on here to change. If the market is not reacting to a listing, the easiest, fastest way to react to it is to adjust the price. Any questions on that? Does anybody want to argue any of those? Nope. Okay. So of those three, there is, and if you've got a house that is just a dog, and everybody's had them, okay, there is a shoe for every foot out there. So somebody will buy every home as long as it's priced appropriate to the condition that it is. All right. If you're doing and having these conversations early in the game and your client is not open to any discussion about the price, a price adjustment at some point during the listing, then I would caution you to think twice. Okay. Consider whether or not you want to take the listing at all. Here's another argument, and I've talked to several people about this over the last couple of weeks. If somebody is inflexible on their price, then you might want to consider advocating for a pre-listing appraisal that can help determine what that price is, and it's not subjective to you, and it's not subjective to the seller. It's more based in cold hard reality of what the marketplace is. All right. If somebody is going in and they're dead set against a price adjustment, or they're going in at a higher number than where you initially feel comfortable, I don't know that I would fall on my sword and not take the listing, but I might consider trying to write some additional price adjustments, a price adjustment schedule into your listing agreement. Used to do this a lot back in 2015, 2017 timeframe. I would take a listing and I had built-in price adjustments already built into the listing agreement. Not so much in this market, but you never know. That could be coming back. All right. So we've talked a lot about setting the expectation with the client, and this is all part of these conversations that you're having with them, even at before the listing. Um, and somebody was going to ask a question. I heard somebody on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was me. You know the pre-listing appraisal.
Yes.
How much would that normally cost?
So it depends. A pre-listing appraisal, a reputable company, one like maybe DS Murphy, I think they're about they might have gone up a little bit with fuel prices. They're probably about 275, 300, maybe 350 at the most. Here's the script that you can have and the conversation that you can have with your client about the pre-listing appraisal is, you know what? Yeah, there's a cost associated with it, but clearly there's some differentiations between what I think and what you think. Let's get a second opinion. Let's not trust me. Let's not trust you. Let's get a professional opinion. The cost could be around 300, maybe 350 at the most. But if you're saving thousands of dollars, tell me how that doesn't make sense. And if somebody really is pushing back and they're like, I don't want to spend 350 bucks, but yet you feel like it might still be in your best interest to do so, then there's a conversation that can take place, and you can say, hey, I think it's a good deal. Here's what I would recommend that we do. Either I'll front it or you front the cost of the appraisal. If you list at or below the appraised value that the appraiser assigns to your home, I'll reimburse you that cost at the closing table. And you just take that completely off the equation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, who would pay for that to make it in your best interest? So that's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I typically fall short of offering that. I will if I have to, but most people are pretty convinced that, hey, $300 to potentially save thousands. Tell me how that doesn't make sense. Okay. Any questions on that before I move on? All right. If I can get it seems like every time I switch back and forth, my screen advance doesn't want to work anymore. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Now we're going to talk about actually having the conversation with the client, earning that price adjustment. This process is data-driven process. Again, it has to be earned, not given. Okay, so what data are you going to present to help make your argument that the price needs to be adjusted? Well, first off, you're going to show them the showing time listing activity report. The key part of what's included in that showing time listing activity report is the feedback that you are getting from other agents. Okay, so hopefully you have had some success with getting feedback organically through the showing time system. If you have not, there are some techniques that we can talk about, and I'm happy to show you those, where you can actively go out and solicit that feedback from the showing agents that have shown the home, and not do so via text and make it subjective, but collect it in one single point to make it easier for you to present that information to your client. All right, so hopefully you are actively filling out feedback reports on homes that you are showing so that your listing agent will be able to use this information. But one of the techniques that I have found to be most effective is for me to actively seek that feedback. I will call the agents 24 to 48 hours after the showing, and I'll actually use the showing time feedback survey form, and then I'll share that with the seller. Okay. I like the fact that the showing time feedback, oops, sorry, was trying to highlight something, is unfiltered. It's unfiltered by you. If it's coming directly from the showing agent, it hasn't gone through your house, your head, your mouth, into your ears and back out your mouth to where you could potentially be filtering that information to your client. Okay, some may ask the question, well, I kind of want to filter it because what if they say something mean and nasty on the feedback? Yeah, that's good. It's okay if they leave something mean and nasty. Your response to that, to your seller, is, I'm sorry that they were a little bit crass, but you grow a tough skin. The information is what we're looking for, and the information is good. And the information is the purple color in the master bedroom has got to go. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you want that feedback, you're getting that feedback, and you want it to be filtered and presented in a timely fashion. And if we have enough time here towards the end, I'm going to show you the mechanics of actually going about doing that. All right. So some additional resources for the data that you are using to support your argument include the Golden Ruler report. So that's a C21 tool that shows you how many people have viewed and saved your listing across all of the various platforms. Similarly, List Hub and the C21 List Globally report. If you've got a luxury listing and it's going globally, that's anything in the luxury price point, either one of those would work. Okay. You want to go back and revisit the CMA that you did initially. And let's look at any homes that were pending when you first presented the CMA when you were listing. You can also call other listing agents of your comps to see how they're doing. If you have one active that's in the same neighborhood that hasn't sold and yours hasn't sold, it might be worthwhile for you to call and commiserate with the listing agent of that house. Okay. The other thing is to present and relook at the absorption analysis report, which again, I can show you guys later of how to pull that and look at the average days on the market. Just like Guggen was saying at the beginning of this, he thinks the report is going to show days on the market going up. You can show, okay, the average in this zip code is 22 days and you're only at 15 days, Mr. Seller. We got some time. Let's just kind of chill and normal business as usual. Okay. Any questions about any of these resources and where to go find them and how to get them? Okay. Here's the questions. When should a price adjustment be made? My philosophy on this, as early as possible, within the first 2 to 3 weeks on the market. Okay. If you go any longer, the listing is likely to get stale. All right. So here's quotation marks. So here's a script, and that you can use this with your clients after some time on the market without a price adjustment. Buyers don't question the price of the home. They're no longer asking, hey, is this house priced right? They're making the assumption, well, if it hasn't sold in this market, then there must be something wrong with the house. And they will make that conclusion without any regard to any facts or figures or any photographs that they see. They just will automatically assume if it's been on the market for 3 weeks and everything in a market where everything else sells in 3 days, then there must be something wrong with it. All right. You can also turn that into, this is buyer focused. Agents will also assume that a seller who refuses to make a price adjustment will likely be difficult to negotiate with if they can ever find a way to strike the first deal. Okay. So these last 2 points driving at one thing, it is not a negative to do a price adjustment. I can't tell you how many times I've been working with one of you as a new agent that's like, well, does it look bad that I'm doing a price adjustment? No, it looks good that you're doing a price adjustment. If you were not doing a price adjustment, it would look bad. Okay, it means that you are set it and forget it, that you're not monitoring the marketplace, that you're not paying attention to what the market is telling you. It is a negative if you are staunchly resisting the urge to make some adjustments to your marketing strategy or your pricing strategy. All right. And now my slides are not moving forward again. So then the next question is how much to reduce. small amounts are meaningless and ineffective. So if you're talking, has anybody ever seen a price adjustment where they do $100 per day and they think that that is a useful strategy? The reality of it is it is not. So my recommendation would be at least a reduction of 1% is probably recommended. 1% of the sales price of the house. Okay. More if you can, if you want to be aggressive about it, more if the seller is willing to do it. But I would say never less than 1% of the sales price of the house. All right. The reason why some agents will do $100 per day is this: the fact that price reductions are quote unquote rewarded by the computer algorithms on many of the secondary listing sites, like Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. Anytime you do a price adjustment, the algorithms in those websites will actually push your listing to the top of everybody's pages. Okay, so what you end up is with, when you do a price adjustment, you get more eyeballs on the listing, and that will equal a quicker sale. A script that you can use is, Mr. Seller, these website algorithms don't reward small price reductions, anything less than, say, that 1% that we talked about up there, in the same way. So if they wanted to do a $500 price reduction, you would say, look, in order to get the biggest bang for your buck amongst these other retailers and other syndicated websites, I would recommend that you do at least 1%, because then you get the bang for the buck by getting that increased visibility. Anything less than that, you don't get. Okay, which is why some agents have seized on this and why they want to do $100 price reductions once per day, because they think that is a benefit to them. All right. And then the question is, how often do you reduce the price? So one is how much, two is how often. And I would say you do it until the market starts to react to your price. Okay. And you will be able to see that quickly and easily in the form of your showing time activity report, your listing feedback. All of those things are going to reflect all those things. And I didn't have a chance. We're out of time. So I'm going to pick up maybe on Thursday, and I'll show you how to monitor for those price adjustments and how to do the absorption analysis report, so you can fight this battle with all of the tools in your pocket. Okay. What questions do y'all have? Duggan, is your listing, are you going to do a price reduction on yours anytime soon?
We did.
You did? And
Yeah.
what did you see?
Nothing. One we have like a neighbor that's competing with us, and they went under contract. So I'm actually calling the agent today to see what they're under contract for. The only thing that's hurting us there is we have new construction coming up right behind the condo, like townhome, and so like people are seeing no one has a problem on price or anything. There's a problem on the construction.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah. Okay, but that's one of those things that you can't change. Yeah. But what you can change is the price at which somebody will overlook the new construction behind their.
Good point.
Yep. All right. All righty, everybody. Well,
hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Did you talk about? I'm at a site, so I had to tune out for a second. Did you talk about taking it off for 30 days and coming back? Did you talk about that?
I did not, but that's a good thing to talk about.
Okay.
If you have done price adjustments and they have not been effective and you're still wondering what's going on, there is such a thing as when you get to a point in the market where you've kind of gone past the days on the market where a continued price reduction is effective. There's something that can be done. In certain circumstances, it's not an automatic, but it is something that a trick in our tool bag that we can do, which is called refreshing the listing. and you literally take the MLS listing, you take it down, withdraw the listing, and then you put it back up with a new listing agreement and a new MLS number. And hopefully you've been smart and you're now going to put it back up with a new price, a price that the market is going to react more favorably to. Okay, so what this does for you is in a situation where everything should have closed within, the absorption analysis tells you that it should have closed in or gone under contract in 2 weeks, and we're now 4 weeks out. Well, it's kind of hard to get to reverse time. So this is doing exactly that. You cut ties with the current listing that you're in and you start a new one. You refresh it with a new MLS number, a new photography even, and a new price. And it's like the listing, the market treats it like a brand new house that just hit the market. Okay. And that is called refreshing the listing. And I can think that I've probably done it maybe 5 to 10 times in my entire career. So it's not something that you need to do very often, but it is a tool that you can pull out of your kit bag. All right.
So can you honestly say then, like when someone says, "Oh, the house has been on the market for 30 days," can you be like, "No, the house has only been on the market 5 days"?
Well, if you notice in the MLS, there's DOM and there's TDOM, days on the market and total days on the market. Days on the market is the number of days that MLS number has been on the market. Total days on the market is the total number of days it was on the market with that at that address. Okay, so it could have been with a different listing agent, it could be with you, but you've refreshed it twice. So you as an agent can look at that and say, well, the total days on the market is still 60 days.
No, I had a listing agent kind of argue with me because she did that. She there's a house that she's like price reduced multiple times, but she's refreshed each time. Yep. And each time it's like a whole new listing and it's like a brand new. And I'm like, she's like, "Oh, it's only been on the market like a week." I'm like, "No, it hasn't been on the market."
No, you've tried it multiple times and failed, yeah. and now you're trying again. Yep.
Okay, got it.
All right.
So
that's why that stat is reflected in the MLS, is so that you can exactly fight that perception. Go ahead, Tippy. What was the rest of your question?
I thought that FMLS said that the total days don't add up when you go back and put it back on after 30 days. So
it should.
It should. Okay.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay. I thought it was within those 30 days if you took it out. I mean, just within your regular period, if you took it off for something and then you put it back on, it would be total. But if you went off for 30, came up with a total new MLS, then it would both of them started 0. That was what I thought, but I could be wrong now. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, okay, thank you.
All right, everybody. All right, we went 4 minutes over. Thank you for your time today. On Thursday, we're going to talk about 2 different things. We're going to do some showing time tips and tricks so that we can monitor the feedback and show you how to one of the tools that you can present to your clients for the listing activity report, which will tell you a lot about how the listing is going. And we'll also look at the absorption analysis report and determine how to read that to help you with your data-driven price adjustment conversations.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy your week. Hop on the calendar, and Corey, I'm going to call you in just a second, okay?
Thank you, Jay.
Have a nice